Hey, this is Brimstone. You're watching AFK away from the keyboard. Ain't no better place to be than right here watching now.
It's the professionalism you admire. Hi, my name is Richard Whittaker with the Austin Chronicle. Okay, who here is Star Trek fan? One or two. Who here is a Quantum Leap fan? Fantastic. In which case, you don't want to hear me talk. Let me introduce the first of our 2 stars today, the captain of the original Enterprise, Scott Bakula. Who is here. Scott.
Are you? Where do you want to sit? Here? I'll sit here. Bill couldn't make it, so... Just kidding.
And the riot ensues. And now, the original captain of the Enterprise, William Shatner.
The young man backstage,
Yes?
he said, "Come on up." He was helping me up.
Yeah.
Come on, here you go.
Old man.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Leave me alone! Hello, everybody. You've met my good friend Scott Bakula. You know, in show business, everybody says good friend, my good friend. He's really a good friend. I've interviewed him, and we've bonded, and he's been to my house. So he's really a good friend.
You say that with such surprise in your voice.
Well,
like,
because everybody in Hollywood says he's my good friend. They've never met.
I thought you were saying everybody in Hollywood says I'm kind of a jerk. And oddly enough, you and I are good friends.
I thought you were a jerk. No, exactly. Oh, exactly. No. We are, and it's been a pleasure to have talked to you over the years, and to have this opportunity. I don't think we've done this before, where you and I answer questions together and show the people how we think a little bit, and our mutual
Admiration.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, so now what?
Okay, we got...
Oh, the
2
moderator.
Oh, yeah. And I can just go. It's okay. We got 2 microphones. One
What
there,
a great
one
beard.
there.
That is a great beard.
Thank you. I grew it just for you.
Have you seen that?
I have seen the beard. Unfortunately, it's reminding me a little bit of the Boston Red Sox right now. And being from St. Louis, that's not really a good feeling.
Yes, I can understand.
So I may have to kick you off this panel right now.
Have you
But
grown,
I'm over it.
Have you grown a beard?
Yes, I have.
Do you like growing a beard?
Yeah, I'll grow one for tomorrow. How about yourself?
No, I never. I just shave away.
But you've never.
No, I never, and I don't know.
Can you grow a beard?
Well, that remains a mystery. It's too late to find out.
There's a challenge.
Well,
Next year
no.
in Austin, we're going to have a beard contest.
I don't know. I think both of us would lose compared
I've
to.
got a head start. I can shave. It's okay. So, I was just going to ask you. I mean, you look at the size of the crowd that's here today. You know, when did you both of you realize like how much being on Star Trek and being on the shows you've been on meant dealing with crowds like this?
Did he say crap?
Crowds.
Crowd like this. Okay.
Yes, crowd.
I heard him
it's the
say
accent,
crap
sorry,
like
crowds.
this.
No.
Well, would you like to take what this means to you? I guess.
Well, the only reason any of us are here is because of you. Let's be clear. So. It would be a little presumptuous of me to claim this, even though I was 100 years before you.
No, but.
So.
I know, but and I don't admire that. But your other show was Quantum Leap and that was a sensational thing that had nothing to do with Star Trek, but totally in its own world. And what a great show it was! How wonderful you were.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I admire Scott on many levels. One of the levels is that he sings. I have an album out there now.
You have 100 albums out there.
No, one album.
What do you mean? One album.
Well, one album now. It just dropped.
Oh, now, yeah. Yesterday he put another album
out. That's right. Ponder the Mystery, in which I sing, but he sings. Well, it's a progressive rock album done with some of the great musicians alive today, but he really sings like a great baritone that he is.
Yes, that's very kind of you. That's very kind of you.
Well,
and I like how you got the plug-in for your album also.
I was hoping you wouldn't notice.
I'll give you next year we're going to have beards and new albums. We'll do one together.
Actually, that wouldn't be such a bad idea. You might be able to carry the album. I can't, right?
I'll be happy to carry the albums. I'll be right behind you carrying the albums.
The two albums. All right. All right. So should we take?
Well, let's go ahead.
Okay.
Start on this side.
Thanks, guys, for taking questions. Grew up with number one here, so yeah. Sorry about the time thing. My question is, what's still on the bucket list for you guys?
Wow.
Well, I'm thinking death. I'm looking at kicking the bucket. You know what I mean? I'm not going in the bucket. I'm kicking that thing down the road. What about you?
Chasing the Bucket. That's the title of your next album.
The two that you're going to carry, right?
Wow, that's a crazy question.
Well, but you've just come off performing in one of the most wonderful of television shows. What was the
Which one are you talking about? Let me get my resume out.
The piano player thing.
The piano, Behind the Candelabra.
Behind the Candelabra.
Yes.
How wonderful that was.
That was.
Is something like that on your bucket list?
I have no idea where you're going with that one.
No, I'm not going anywhere, except maybe it's a little pale.
That's a little
It's a small joke. What's on your bucket list?
That would be next question. You know what? I have never thought about that. To be totally honest, that's why I'm.
You've never thought, what would I like to do next?
Oh.
What did he say? What did he say?
I'm not going to repeat it.
I thought it said.
Because then it comes out like I said it. It's not my first day in the business. Bucket list. There are places I have a Quantum Leap movie. There you go. Bucket, yes. There you go.
Would you do one?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. In fact, there was a TV show that was shot in the mid-'60s that we could leap back into. There's my bucket list. And you know I'm going to end up in a red shirt.
Yeah, but you'd be the one that would survive.
No, I'd just leap before anything bad happened.
Okay, this side.
Hi, I'm Kristen, and I'm right over here.
Yes, I know, but your voice is coming out right over here. So
okay.
we both went,
Okay, great.
how'd she get in that box?
Well, I think it's really exciting that you guys are here. Again, thank you for answering our questions. And my question for you two, my favorite captains, is what is your vision for space flight and space exploration?
Wow, these you know, the questions in Texas are very hard to answer.
I didn't get the space exploration for the what?
What is our vision for
Yeah. Space exploration.
Yes. The future of space technology, the future of the space program,
Exactly.
NASA in general, the history of... You take this one.
You know, we're physically incapable of flying that distance in space without a great deal of danger.
Well, you haven't done a lot of time traveling, but go ahead.
Yes, I have. I've jumped back and forth in space before you were a child. But humans have great difficulty because of our vulnerability in radiation and meteorites and lack of fuel and oxygen, and what do you do with the refuse, and how do you get more food, and there's a whole list of problems.
Yeah, which button is stop?
Yeah.
Stuff
you
like
press
that.
the button to go, and nothing happens.
Yeah, well, you
I
just
just
said
dropped
go.
my iPhone the other day, and it stopped working. I swear to God, my iPhone stopped working. What would happen if that happened on a spaceship? You drop a button, it doesn't work. You're a million miles from home, and you're pressing this button, and then you say to Siri, "Get me home," and Siri answers, "I can't do that kind of thing." So I think you're better off putting a robot, a mechanical being, into the spaceship, and like we fly drones now, and you have to imagine that the future of air warfare is going to be mechanical with a pilot on the ground. Why wouldn't we do that in space? And since our instruments are becoming more and more sensitive and more intelligent, there has to be a meeting, the synchronicity. What is it? Where the point is, where the what is it? The convergence. What is it? What's his name says he's trying to stay alive until the. You know what I mean. You guys know what I mean.
How did you guys ever fly around out there?
We got lost a lot. So the convergence. What do I mean? Where the robot and man unite.
Singularity.
The singularity is what I mean. So when the singularity comes.
That's
You know the
another
guy-
album. That's another album right there.
Do you know the guy, the what's his name, who's taking 250 pills for to wait for the singularity? The guy who invented what?
Ray Kurzweil.
Say again.
Ray Kurzweil.
Ray Kurzweil. I knew that. Kurzweil. Ray Kurzweil.
Sure.
Ray Kurzweil.
We
is
can't
taking-
answer their questions, and they can't answer yours.
No. Well, no. No.
There's
you
a
see,
convergence of the singularity that's not happening here.
No, but it is. Why are you applauding him? Because it is happening. It is happening. The singularity. I asked a question, they answered it.
Okay.
She asked me a question, I'm answering it. So you're on the wrong side of the question. So when the singularity happens, We'll send that singular person out into space, and mankind doesn't need to go and risk his life, and we'll get the same information.
But what if they don't open the pod bay doors?
What if they drop their iPhone? Well, it won't matter because we'll send another ship out because we won't be afraid of risking human life. You see? Don't you see what it's like?
But don't you, back to the bucket list, don't you want to go?
No. What's his name in Virgin asked me to go up there. I swear to God.
I know.
He asked me to go. I said, okay. He said, it'll cost you $250,000. I said, you pay me the $250,000. You got it all wrong, man. It's the truth.
Okay, this side.
This is a question for Scott. Scott, I recently rewatched all 5 seasons of Quantum Leap.
Yay.
And one of the stories that stood out was you as Lee Harvey Oswald. And I was wondering about your preparation for that role. Were you just brilliant? And also with all the JFK, remembrance of 50 years of some of that's come back, and your preparation, emotions that had to be present when you were preparing for that.
Yeah, this is an interesting time. Certainly, to be back in the state is interesting, and certainly historically, it's an interesting time. That episode, that two-parter, was a result of Don Bellisario's reaction to Oliver Stone's JFK, which he absolutely hated and didn't buy for a second. Don was in the Marine Corps with Lee Harvey Oswald, and so he felt a certain he felt a certain responsibility to put his version out there. So it was eerie. It was bizarre. We literally rebuilt the book conservatory, and I had the exact rifle, and we had the same distance, and it was all very uncomfortable. And years later, I was down here with another movie, and I went to the grassy knoll, and we did all of those things. And but that was, I think, our 4th season, and we'd kind of reached a new point in the journey with Quantum where I was assimilating more of some of the characters that I was visiting, and that one was kind of personal, and my friend Jimmy Whitmore directed it, and it was kind of a powerful episode. We recorded with the largest, this will never happen again, the largest orchestra that had ever recorded anything on the Universal lot. I think we had like 82 pieces or something. It was crazy. The whole thing was kind of an epic journey, and yes, when this all coming back, and ironically, my uncle was married on the 22nd, so his marriage was marked by that day, and you think about where you were, if you were around at that time, what you were doing that day. There are just a few events in my life that I can go like, oh yeah, certain things that happened, I know where I was when an earthquake.
Where were you?
I can't remember. I knew you would just walk me right down that and escort me out the door. No, I was at home. I wasn't at the wedding. I don't know why I wasn't at the wedding, but I was at home and watching, as we used to do in the old days. The world would come to a stop for launches, for big events, daytime black and white television, and everybody would gather around their TV sets. That will never happen again. But yeah, it was quite a powerful episode. I'm very, very proud of it. There was a lot of material in there, a lot of interesting cross-genetic acting choices going on, which was when you live in some of those dark characters, it stays with you, and that's one of our darkest characters in our history here anyway. So, thank you.
Okay, over here.
Did you understand any of that? I didn't.
I'd like to ask you more about it.
Yeah.
First and foremost, thank you for sharing your wonderful talents with the world and for coming here to Austin and being here. It's awesome. We love you.
Thank
My
you.
question is for Scott. Scott, in Quantum Leap, you have leaped into so many different characters. I'm sure everyone in this room has a favorite. But what is your favorite and why?
Well, Oswald was certainly a favorite, but not at the top of my list. I had a couple favorites. Probably my most favorite is leaping home into Sam Beckett's younger life at 16, just because I think that's such a personal. And I got to sing Imagine in that episode, and there were so many. And I'm from the Midwest, and I can relate to farm people and the country, and that episode was about all of that, those kind of family values, and being in the same room with your parent that you know is basically eating and smoking himself to death, and not being able to feel like you can change his journey at all, and yet wanting more than anything. It harkened back to the pilot episode when I realized that I could call my dad in real life before he died and get him on the phone, but I couldn't tell him who I was because he would have hung up on me because he would have thought I was crazy. It just really, that two-parter, which led into Vietnam, and Dean's whole journey in Vietnam, and me with my brother over there, that's probably my first, and then La Mancha is really close to that, right behind that. So thanks.
Okay, over here.
You partially answered my question earlier, but I want to know from both of you guys. I asked Star Trek Next Generation cast last year if they had opportunity after either Virgin or somebody else actually had the space flight to the point where we can do it as a commercial venture. I know you already said if you get somebody to give you $250,000, you'll do it. So, Mr.
See how life gets twisted around? Shatner's anybody's for the taking for $250,000.
But what about you, Mr. Bakula? What would it take to get you to space as part of a promotional deal?
I'd go in a heartbeat if my kids weren't still young. Okay. So I guess that says I want him to go first.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, over here.
Hi, my name is Jimmy Torres, and I'm a big fan of both of y'all. My question is easy. Can I go up there and go shake your hands?
You're welcome to come shake our hands, but that would start a whole cavalcade of handshaking, and then we wouldn't have any more questions, right?
You're going to ask the same thing. I know that.
What? Well, then everybody would want to come and shake their hands. What if I shook his hand for you? No, that wouldn't work. What do you want to? You take this one.
No.
What if she has $250,000?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, I'd shake your hand if my children were younger.
Okay, over here.
Scott, this question is for you. Not a whole lot of characters get the opportunity to really develop two characters on two different shows for such a long period of time. So I'm not going to ask which was your favorite, but how did you find and what did you enjoy about each of those two roles?
Well, the great joy of doing television work that lasts, which is very unusual. So that's the first joy, was being on series that ran for a while. You've done this more than I have, but is that you get to spend time with those characters. So when you're looking for work that may run for a long time, you hope that you find characters that have somewhere to go. Because sometimes you get, characters on the page that are pretty much, they're done. They don't have a room for growth. They're not interesting. They don't have challenges. They don't have, problems and faults. So you look for those things, and if you're lucky enough to get them, then you can build on that, and that carries you through episodes and through the bleak, halfway through the season when everyone's dragging and again, in the old days when you'd make 22. But it's a long haul. I likened it always to running a marathon and trying to survive to get to the end of the year. But if you're lucky enough, and I had those two great characters, one who was completely naive and didn't know much about life except that he loved his mind and science and exploration, and he was lost in the world, and he got to experience everything. And another man who grew up in the womb of the industry, of the space industry, and then was thrown out into the Wild West and had to navigate and write the rules himself. So I was just so fortunate. And I think it's a great. That's so pretty. Not everyone can hear that, but it's beautiful. What is that ringtone called? Embarrassment? That was her line. That wasn't mine. And that was a good line too, and a good ringtone. And you're not red at all. But you answer this question because it's a good question.
I've forgotten the question by now. What do you want to know about the long-running role?
I got the answer.
I understand. And would two guys just usher him out, please? Next question.
This side.
Do you ever wish you had a real phaser?
I have.
Serious question.
Yes.
You both played mirror universe counterparts of your normal characters. How was that?
You go.
My name is Bill, not Hugo. It's silly, but you know.
That's right.
Mirror universe.
Yes.
Universe. Well, you know, the existence of the universe itself, whether it's really there or not, is subject to some speculation. What I love is the fact that there is the possibility of many universes out there, not just one that mirrors this one for some manner, but that this universe is not the only construct, that they're like galaxies that in the 15 billion years that we see material existing, that galaxies have filtered through each other. And so these universes may very well be melding with each other and going on, maybe hitting, maybe colliding with something. Maybe the space is so vast that all these myriad universes are filtering through what we can see, what we can't see. And I love to speculate on the idea that there exists on other planes, on other levels, other universes. I don't really think so, but I thought that I might as well give an answer to something that is total speculation.
And I was just like, I want to go there with him.
For $250,000. Give us your answer to that.
Mine is simply that to do the mirror universe for us in The Mirror Darkly was the closest I could get to my childhood dream, which was when I saw these guys, this guy, on television, I wanted so much to be on that ship with them. I wanted to be a part of that relationship that they had going. So when we got the script and we knew that they were going to rebuild the bridge and break out the old costumes, and it was as close, I knew it was the closest I was ever going to get. And I was so enamored. I mean, the whole Paramount lot it became like we were a tour all of a sudden. Everybody came to the set. Everybody wanted to just be there and sit in the chair again and be a part of that trip back. So I adored him and his work and that crew. And so it was like, for me, it was like a little bit of a mirrored universe in reality, because I was kind of, we have these dreams. People say, oh, did you ever, when you saw the original Star Trek, did you want to grow up and be a starship captain? And I was like, no, but I wanted to be on that ship. I just thought, I just wanted to go there right away. I didn't want to grow up and wait. I wanted to be a part of that right then. So it was so much fun. It was such a bizarre thing, and we went, crazy with it. But it was a great homage to the reason we're all kind of all in this room, as I started out saying. So it was a blast. It was a blast, and nobody could do it like him. Let's just be clear.
Thank you.
And I've never said this before, but if you go back and watch every one of our episodes for 250,000, no, I tip my hat to him several times. But you have to dig. But they were, for me, it was my little. I never said, "Can I do this?" or "I'm going to do this." I just did it, and they're there. They're little seeds, but they're always like acknowledgement. That's all. I quit.
This is a question for Will. Well, one of the things that Kirk is mostly known for is his encounters with female species. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts that all
on
the
women?
fanboys, yes,
on man-women relationships?
Yeah.
Do you need any help? Is that what you're saying?
Maybe.
Kirk, and then back to Captain Kirk again. The choices to do that, I guess, was that they wanted to put you back in the captain's chair and make it clear that you were the captain, but did you ever prefer being just the title Admiral Kirk? Because I always thought that sounded better. And for Scott, what was the future of your captain? Did you see him like becoming an admiral, or just staying an explorer as a captain and then retiring from doing that? I know that.